is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, we take roll call?
Mr. Fleming, Mr. Hollabaugh. Here. Mr. Smolin. Here. Mr. Wigan.
Here.
Mrs. Jordan.
Here.
Madam Chair, your quorum.
This time we'll hear comments from the public on agenda items only. Please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Attached to the minutes of the regular business meeting of June 18, 2025. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I make that motion.
Seconded.
Motion by Mr. Hollabaugh, second by Mr. Smolin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Attached to the finance officer's report, are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the report from Ms. Starr?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smolin, second by Mr. Hollabaugh. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Attached is list of bills. Do I have a motion to pay the list of bills as submitted?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wiggins, second by Mr. Hollabaugh. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Police chief's report. Anything exciting going on, chief?
No, ma'am. Business as usual.
Any questions for chief? Attached to the Public Works Foreman's report. Do we have any questions there? And the engineer's report submitted by Shoup Engineering. Are there any questions or anything you need to bring up now, Mr. Shoup?
Not at this point.
Thank you.
Just a question on the hydrants. I see all of them are installed, all 4 of them. The one at Bearford and Saxonburg has the wrong connections on it.
Yeah, the wrong connections, you
Wrong
said.
connections.
What were those two again? Which two?
The one I noticed was at Bearford and Saxonburg.
Okay. That's Oakmont, right? Yes. Okay. I have no problem getting in touch with them.
Attached to the planning, zoning, and code enforcement report. Are there any questions? Attached is West Tier number 1 volunteer fire department report. Any questions? Number 2 is attached, and so is number 3. If anyone has any questions. The EMS report is attached. Are there any questions?
Do we have any estimates on the repairs? I know we were talking about the insurance, but do we have the estimates for the ceiling and stuff?
No, that's through the insurance company. They were here a couple different times. Last time was last week. I reached out to our agent or our representative 2 days ago, asking for an update. She reached out to the insurance company because I said, I don't want people over there if there's mold working, if there's mold around. So we're working on that right now.
There's a pretty thorough explanation on the energy report that was sent to us too. Adoption of ordinance number 462, solar farm regulations. What did I say?
It's recreation.
Oh, it is.
Skip 461.
Because there's a 16 in there. I just said it, I said it. Sorry about that, but, ordinance number 461, an ordinance of Township of West Deer, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending chapter 210 zoning of the code of ordinances of the Township of West Deer to revise the definition of recreation facility.
I'll make the motion.
Is there any consideration?
Motion, I'm sorry?
Is there any consideration for the recommendations from the planning commission?
They put them in a report. They're in the report, and they're,
I understand they're
They're
in
in
the
the
report,
ordinance.
but they're not in the advertised ordinance that we're about to take a vote on.
So, Mr. Wayne, are you suggesting that we make that amendment and re-advertise it on any public hearings? Is that what you're proposing, or?
If that's what we have to do. I mean, my whole problem with this ordinance is it says establishment under recreational facility, and then we talk about residential. Yeah, they say limiting it to 2 days. I think the planning commission's was up to 5 days, sequential, consecutive or not. So, and then in the county's recommendation, they said that we should be more specific. So I'm not, I don't understand the need for this to be under recreational facility. If this is a property that is zoned residential, this is under definitions, so the use would be recreational facility, correct?
Correct, and this was really meant to be just, again, not perfect, but a fix to address a particular event. And I think it was brought to the board's attention that there might be some other events that would have got caught up in this category of having to go through an unnecessary additional process. So when this was presented and the board voted to approve the advertisement of this was the text that was in there. I thought that there's at least a majority of the board who was okay with adding these 2 days, the specific exemption, so that we didn't catch those other events that we weren't really trying to catch. So we can certainly, if the board does not want to move forward with it, we can send it out to the planning commission and make some additional changes, but I guess we gotta hear from the rest of the board.
Well, what was the official determination of the question, on the question of the event that we're talking about? Was it determined that our ordinance didn't pertain to that? Were they given a waiver?
He obtained a variance. He went to the zoning hearing board, so he didn't have to go through the conditional use process. So he had obtained a variance.
Does he have to do that every year?
No, that variance is for that use. So he does not have to go through the conditional use process, which is what our code required.
So why are we going back and changing this?
Because if there's another Corby Wood Fest or equivalent event that happens over a couple of days, it's not going to be particularly impactful to the surrounding neighbors. And we didn't want every one of those folks to have to go and make their case in front of the zoning hearing board. We want to make it clear that the township's not trying to regulate those types of events.
No, and I don't know, I don't think putting it under recreational facility would be.
Well, right now it is, and that's why we issued the notice of violation before we added the exception. So we added the exception to specifically pull it out. Even if there was a question, it was at a minimum, I think we could agree, was unclear. And so we wanted to clarify that to say, look, we're not trying to catch someone who's having a weekend graduation party that's going to involve X, Y, and Z, or a nonprofit, generating minimal traffic, or a very short term. This is meant to just say, hey, look, to make it 100% clear, we're not trying to regulate those types of activities. That was the intent of drafting.
I just think it's in the wrong place.
But I think there's a motion. I don't know if you had a second for Mr. Small's motion. Did you get a second?
I was interrupted. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Small, second by Mr. Holloway. All in favor? Opposed?
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, will you take roll call?
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
Mr. Smallman?
Yes.
Mr. Wigan?
Yeah.
Mrs. Jordan?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion carries 3-1.
Adoption of number 462, solar farm regulation. So before I read all this, I think we've listened to everybody. There wasn't time for the, first of all, let me say this. Mr. Shook, I apologize for how you were treated this last week. I'm embarrassed for you, I'm embarrassed for our township, and I myself want to apologize on behalf of the residents that did that. That's not called for. You do an excellent job, and maybe there was a little bit of misunderstanding, but sometimes we need to extend grace, and I appreciate you for the job that you do. With that, I would, there's a lot here. I called Mr. Rob, I said, look, I don't even understand all this, there's just a lot of information. I personally would like to table it if I have anyone who would also like to table it, because there's just a lot that I didn't understand. No one is against solar. I get this thing like this is coming from somewhere. I personally don't understand it. All of these structures, and I know we talked about putting them on roofs, and that doesn't have anything to do with this, but I need to personally get a better understanding. So if anybody would agree to that, I would appreciate it if we would table it. And
I would make a motion to table until next month.
I'll second that.
okay, Thank you for that. A motion by Mr. Hollabaugh, second by Mr. Small to table resolution, or no, ordinance number 462 solar farm regulation. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Do we want to address any of the parts that are in there? Or are we sending a recommendation, blanket recommendation back to the planning commission to review?
I need to understand a little bit more. There was a lot that I've had to ask. I've been to Township Building quite a few times to ask for clarification. I think it's important that we get something on the books. I think you would too as a fireman, that we don't want, we've got to be very careful.
When can we get back on the books for the planning commission?
It's up to you guys.
So we're just gonna table the vote, I think, to give us a time to review it, see where we're at. We've heard comments, and it gives us an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Rob or Mr. Shook, or Mr. Shook, and go from there.
And the way it could be handled too, since the motion was to table it until the next meeting, the board can sort of take two approaches. One is get comfortable, get familiar with it, and decide you like it, or not get comfortable, or get comfortable with it, decide you want some changes, and then you can come prepared to direct myself and Mr. Shook to make those changes next month.
So I would like to see us get something on the books, hopefully get something from the planning commission, but at least with something in place. But I don't know that because I don't have a full understanding. You've helped me a lot. Your explanation was perfect.
I'm just suggesting that because the motion that was just made, it's going to be an action item next month, but it doesn't have to be, you're not locking yourself into approving this next month. Another option, that's an option.
We could approve it with changes.
You can't approve, you could direct us to make changes, and then we'd have to go back to the planning commission and start the process over again, which is perfectly fine. But those would be the two options. So if you could just let us know, between meetings here, if you have the questions, we'll try to get those answered. And if you're leaning towards, well, I think we need to make changes before we, get something on the books, then you can come prepared to have that discussion.
So can I ask you a question, because it was brought up? We're going back to the good old oil and gas conversation. We had those ordinances, all of that was delayed, but that wouldn't have changed anything that was already in place because they were already applied for, the wells.
Right.
So we couldn't retroactively go back and change it. This is the same thing. So if we let this go today and someone comes in between here and next month, or when the planning, or whatever the time period is, we have no protections in place. Am I understanding that correctly?
Until you have adopted the zoning amendment, then you still have no regulations governing solar, and, if you remember my introduction,
Yes.
that would be the situation. Now, there's no guarantees as to what would happen with challenges and, what particular type of development will come in, but to answer your question, correct, you would essentially be where you are today.
Okay, so we have
Well, to that point though, on the oil and gas, we changed the zoning ordinance to make it permitted use for some accessory uses of oil and gas instead of conditional use.
But it was prospective, right? So I think the question was, can you go back after someone's filed an application and say, no, these are our regulations? The answer is no. We were talking about happening prospectively, so yes, the change was made, and then future applications will follow those new regulations.
But if an application comes in now, we still can't go back and check because we have nothing on the books. So we use the ordinance that were written in 2014, that's what we used, or whatever the change was. We just need to, I appreciate the extra time. So we did it all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me ask, if we can't talk about this privately before the next meeting, now would be the time to talk about the issues that we see, correct?
Correct.
Or do you want each individual supervisor to come talk to you?
No, I'd love to, if my sense is, based on Ms. Jordan's comments, is that she doesn't feel like she's in a position now to have that conversation. So my suggestion was, let the board members, review this further, even though you've had it for, a couple months. Review this further, because it's a lot to take in, and then come prepared to either, A, be comfortable with it and adopt it, or B, say, after having more time to chew on this, here's the changes that I think should be made, and I think that could be a board discussion at the next meeting.
And my only concern is not understanding it, and I don't even understand why there's so many concerns, so I have to dig into it deeper because we have no protection. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, wait, why don't we want to protect something? That is what seems irresponsible to me. I felt like we were proactive. You brought this to the board saying, this is coming down the pike, we need to get ahead of it.
And it was from some personal experience that I had in some other communities where, unfortunately, they also they either had minimal regulations or no regulations, and it became very much a lack of leverage by the municipality. The developer came in and said, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not. And while we, were able to get through that, it would have been much better to say, okay, we have these regulations in place, now come and talk to us. We're from a position of strength, a position of having that regulatory framework.
I believe the public comment from Mr. Harrison represented that too. I mean, there were many other districts in the last year that just put all these.
Right, and I think I mentioned this before, but the genesis of this particular draft came from the middle of the state. It was the form of this ordinance. There was some county planners that were involved, some solar experts who had been impaneled as part of the committee to help some of the communities in the middle of the state have an ordinance on the books, because it is becoming a use that's happening quite a bit out there, and now it's definitely trending. Washington County, and how the sense that we're getting is that we expect a lot more activity in Allegheny County
Sure.
coming up.
I don't think any of us are opposed to solar. I know I'm not opposed to solar, but
I'm not
Maybe
either.
show
I just
some.
don't understand all of the acronyms and I just don't.
So, Gavin, to your point about it being only allowed in industrial now, you say that the proposal is to move it to RE and not industrial. But could the company say the same thing about we're limiting them because our RE lacks utilities? Like, to find a parcel big enough with utilities right there is very minimal as well.
If you allow for use that covers roughly 25% of your township, you're not going to be subject, I don't think, that you would be vulnerable to an exclusionary challenge.
Okay. So are we to send you our opinions, or?
You would send it, so you would have to send it to Daniel and Joseph, not directly to the solicitor.
Yeah, again, what Mr. Rob just said, treat this as if when it's being tabled, so it's gonna be on the agenda next month, so the board can do anything that you want to do to this between now and next month. Obviously can't be changed, because what's gonna be in front of you is gonna be the same as that ordinance. But if you decide to adopt it as is, that's fine. If you guys decide to, as you mentioned, make changes and send it, re-advertise, flat out tonight and leave everything as is, you have that option. So between now and then, all you really need to do is educate yourself and discuss things with, especially with Mr. Shook. He's up here, he's the point of contact. And Mr. Rob, that's all the board needs to do between this month and next month. So educate, come up with suggestions.
Well, I think it's kind of flawed, because it says solar farm ordinance, but it goes into detail about the accessory use for residential. I think those should be either two separate ordinances, or residential just be taken out, because you're limiting people's property rights.
Well, all zoning to an extent is limiting people's property rights or
Yeah,
regulating
but
people's
this
property
is,
rights.
so one of the big concerns that I saw was that all the energy created had to be used on site.
So there is this concept of selling some back to the grid. I talked to Mr. Shook about that. We believe that the ordinance can be interpreted to allow, because it's being generated and for that limited purpose of being back to the grid. We're not trying to restrict that. It's not written as clearly as it could be, but I think that could be a township interpretation that Mr. Shook and I have already discussed.
when I read through that too, that would not affect any residential homeowner from putting solar panels on the roof then.
Right, it's permitted in all zoning districts, but there are some regulations surrounding it. Again, it's a long ordinance, so you have to, but to Mr. Wiggins' point, if there are specific questions, especially legal in nature, I'm happy to, try to jump in and respond to those. If you want to, I guess the protocols are sent through Mr. Shook and Mr. Nader, but yeah, I will have a call with Mr. Shook. We'll get whoever has questions to this, on this answers, and, and I'm not, I've already made my case as to why I think something should be on the books, but, you're the decision maker. So if there's 3 supervisors who say, we get you, but we think it's not worth passing in its current form, I'll go back to the drawing board, or I'll be at the planning commission meetings, happy to work through it with those folks to get you something you're comfortable with.
I think as it's written, at least in my experience with, trying to do the revitalization committee, this would be a hindrance to, some of the business development in the township.
That certainly wasn't the intention, so we happy to further have those further conversations with you.
Yeah, Mr., just if you could explain that aspect of it so we can get past that part, that it's gonna hurt businesses or.
I think anytime we start going down the path of trying to just pull something out of the ordinance and explain it, I don't think it's gonna be productive.
No, I think that to have him call him. And
Oh,
he
yes.
can-
Yeah, we
that's
can-
what I
we
said.
can discuss.
No, if he could,
Yeah, we can discuss.
if you could
Yeah.
touch base and
Okay.
get that figured out.
Sure.
And just as from the fire department aspect, I think that the fire department should be considered in all new hazards that, the township is considering or is coming down the pike. Obviously, we have a lot of new technology. But as far as solar panels go, once you de-energize it, it's a Class A fire. So,
I think the fires that the ordinance is more concerned about the lithium ion, where there's actually battery storage on the site. I think we all hear quite about, I'm not saying that I'm not an expert, don't get me wrong, we all hear quite a bit about the flammability of lithium ion batteries and the complications potentially surrounding putting out that type of fire. Right, so that's what we're trying to get on from, not just a random panel just going up in flames.
Okay. Number 19, authorization of Allegheny County winter maintenance agreement. Dennis?
18.
Sorry about that. Number 18, appointment of finance officer with Ms. Starr retiring next month, unfortunately. Huge loss to the township. The township advertised for and interviewed applicants to succeed her as the township finance officer. Are there any questions regarding the finance officer appointment? So I need someone to make a motion and to, I don't know. So do I have a motion to hire Susan Kadich as a full-time employee of West Deer Township and appoint them as financial officer effective August 1st, 2025?
Make that motion.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Smolin, second by Mr. Hollowell, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. She's not here, is she? Tracy, this is going to be your last meeting, huh? Thank you so much. I deal with you a lot. I'm here a lot with you, and I genuinely appreciate everything you took over and kind of grabbed the bull by the horns from what was a little archaic, modernized everything. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I'll certainly see you. So good luck with your grandbabies. I said on your phone. I said on your phone. All right, 19, authorization of Allegheny County winter maintenance agreement. Attached is the county winter maintenance agreement for the 2025-26 through 28 winter seasons. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments to add?
Yeah, this is the Allegheny County Winter Maintenance Agreement. This is the agreement that the board, the township enters into with Allegheny County to maintain some of the county roads during the winter. Those roads are, if I can remember correctly, Bedford Road, Middle Road Extension, and Toronto and Colmerville Road. We take those over every year because, as everybody knows, we get to them faster than the county ever can. So it's always a safety issue for the board. Full disclosure for the board, you do not have to enter into this. If you choose not to, it's as simple as me going back to the county and saying we're not interested. In which case they will take over the winter maintenance again.
Compensated fairly for our time.
That was my next question too. We are compensated.
Somewhat, not as well as the state compensates us. And the state also automatically makes adjustments for severe winters. Like last year was a severe winter. So we received adjustments from the state. The county does not unless you petition them for it.
Was it enough to cover supplies and labor?
Last time I did a study on this, because I calculated it, ratcheted it down pretty significantly. It doesn't cover it exactly, But the board has always decided, even though it kind of falls a little bit short, that it's better for the public safety.
It is a pretty neat road.
Yeah. So the board has adopted it anyhow, saying, look, this is just something we'll take on just so that our residents get there safely.
Do we have an agreement for other roads for the state? I don't recall.
We do.
Okay, it just isn't, okay.
Do we
Is the county negotiable?
No.
Do you need help with that?
Yeah, you can have at it.
Want me to know I listed the roads that we're doing in here?
They are. It's in there's a chart at the end of the agreement,
Oh.
right there. That's what I was turning my head, so I was. This comes just.
Do I have a motion to authorize the chairperson and township manager to execute the county winter maintenance agreement as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hollenbaugh, second by Mr. Wiggin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Fairfield Park electrical agreement. As mentioned in previous meetings, the Township Deer Lakes Youth Softball and Duquesne Lake have been working together to get electricity to the B6, B7 ball fields. After receiving preliminary
Madam Chair,
Huh?
I can stop. We didn't get the agreement in place yet, so we can just go past this one.
Do we table it?
You don't have to, you don't have to take action or something to take action on it now.
Well, thanks for reading all that. Are we good for the police services agreement? Authorization of Deer Lakes Police Services Agreement attaches a copy of the service agreement between West Deer Township and the Deer Lakes School District for the 2025-26 school year. The school board voted to approve the agreement at their June 17, 2025 meeting. Are there any questions? Is everything staying the same? Did we increase our rates a little bit?
Yes,
Talk about that?
Yeah, the rates increase with the collective bargaining unit of the officers each year.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. And they're still gonna have every school covered with an officer?
We will have all 4 schools covered, yes.
Good. Still taking care of extracurricular, like sporting and all those events?
The
Is
school
that-
still contracts for us for that.
But that's not in this agreement, this is just.
No, that's separate.
Okay.
Yeah, this just provides coverage throughout the school year each day for all 4 buildings.
So important, we appreciate that. Do I have a motion to authorize the signing of the services agreement between the Township and Deer Lake School District as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hollenbaugh, second by Mr. Wiggin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization, sale of millings, reclaimed asphalt. The township stores will use this reclaimed asphalt for mill roads as part of the annual road program. The current stockpile is excessive, however, the township manager is recommending advertising and selling the excess millings. The township code requires authorization by the board of supervisors to sell such a commodity. So I'm going to pass it over to the engineer and to the township manager.
Sure, so there was a little discussion last month regarding this matter, and it was decided it'd be best to go back and.
Measure the pile?
Pardon me?
Did you guys measure the pile?
I measured it visually.
Okay.
And if the board does elect to go forward with a sale, I will measure the pile and so that we know exactly what we're gonna be selling off. But, you know, so there was discussion between Mr. Mayor, myself, and Mr. Reiki concerning this. And that pile back there is about roughly 90 feet long, 50 feet deep, and about 20 feet tall. I'm estimating there's probably, give or take, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6,000 ton of material back there. I think the consensus would be that if you're gonna authorize a sale, you authorize a sale for all but 2,000 ton, leaving yourself some material for your own use. Other discussion we had would be that the material would have to be trucked by the successful bidder. However, loading would be by the township so that we have control on what's going out. And then, I mean, we'll have some other miscellaneous requirements as well. But if the board does decide to move forward with it, we will get a good measurement on the pile. And like I said, the recommendation is to sell all but 2,000 ton, approximately.
We'll have future millings coming up next year too. will we not?
Every year, I've been hearing vet millings coming in. And your crew does a good job in utilizing the millings. I mean, they've built parking lots out of them. We've used them for pipe backfill. There's a road over in Bedford Park that goes back to, and I don't know the names, the numbers of your ball fields,
Yeah.
but the back ball fields. They constructed a beautiful road using those millings to go
Which is
back.
good, because the 5K runs through there.
Yeah, and the parking lot down by the new fields right now, all that base material is millings. So it's definitely come in handy. The only other use for it is backfilling the edges of the road. But again, every year we're piling on an additional probably 1,000 ton of material above and beyond what we use. So I guess our recommendation would be to authorize the sale of all but approximately 2,000 ton.
We can sell that as a lump sum, like onesie twosies.
My thought was to bid it as well, not as a lump sum, but a per cubic. I say ton, but it would actually be per cubic yard because that's the easier way to measure it.
We have to have a minimum.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the intent is to
Sell it
authorize.
all to one person? Yeah.
Yeah, sell it all to one person. It's gonna be interesting. This is not something that comes up very often, so, and it frankly probably has a lot to do with timing. Do you happen to be bidding at the time when that party is out there wanting that material? It'll be interesting. We'll find out. And if for some reason we find out that the answer is, hey, you need to break this up into smaller quantities or something, we'll come back with that information.
Scott, how do your other municipalities handle millings?
I've never sold them. I take it back. I do have one municipality over in Beaver County. They sell it to their residents, probably not in the proper way, but they sell it just like they do mulch. And
But is there
other
something that we could include in our bid for paving that would say that the responsible bidder is required to give us credit for the millings?
We can definitely do that. Historically, in West Deer, we've always said the millings are the property of the township, with one exception. The contractor can use them to backfill some of the road edges. You can do the opposite, or like over in the case of Richland, they're at the point they've got too many as well. They'll say, these 3 roads, we want those millings. All other roads, they're the property of the contractor. That should reflect out in the price a little bit because all the asphalt plants are, they're taking millings. So.
So do we want to look at maybe keeping all the millings and then just for the future development of the roads, offer it back to the contractor?
That's an option.
See if someone wants them.
It's a big pop. But that's an option.
Are they starting to get in our way? Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, there's also a lot of time involved in that. I watched the public works crew driving the front loader for days, like building a ramp to get to the top and dump more, and that's just time that they're away from doing township work, and then it's right in the middle of,
If we put it out for bid and we don't feel it's adequate, we
you
could
know,
always,
accept it.
yeah.
Right.
Motion to authorize the advertisement and sale of excess reclaimed asphalt.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Wiggins, second by Mr. Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization, Traditions of America Rose Ridge revision. The board has received a revision to the previously approved Phase 2 recording plan for Traditions of America Rose Ridge. The property is located 4769 Gibsonia Road, Allison Park, PA. The zoning district is R2, semi-suburban residential. The planning commission reviewed and recommended approval at their June 26th meeting with no additional conditions. Mr. Shute, anything to add?
No, not really. I mean, this is a revision to the final Phase 2 PRD plan for Rose Ridge. And it's being done for primarily a couple of reasons, one of which is the board had actually previously approved the use of all single-family homes in that development when originally there were duplexes. So that revision would be reflected on the final Phase 2 plan. And then secondly, there's been a new surveyor come on board for the developer, and that surveyor has a different perimeter description, calculation of how much land's owned by TOA, and that revision is also reflected on this new plan. There are representatives of the applicant here tonight if you have any other questions.
So there's no more duplex, is that what I heard you say, all single family?
All single family. The number of overall units did not increase, but
Right.
yeah, they're now all single families.
What would the purpose of the survey revision be then?
Well, it's frankly a difference between two surveyors. The original surveyor was with engineering surveying company X. They now have engineering surveying company Y employed. That surveyor feels the property is different than what was originally surveyed.
They also had a new civil engineering company. They hired a new company, and that company wanted to use their surveyor. So that also played into the new survey.
So they gained property or lost property?
Based on the surveys they gave. Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Might be better for.
Well, I was just gonna point out that I've had a good bit of discussions with Mr. Rob about this matter, and, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, so Mr. Rob hears what I'm accusing him of. But I've had discussions with Mr. Rob regarding the two surveys. And at least my opinion, and I think Mr. Rob's opinion, is that the township's not in a position to play judge and jury on a property survey. That's why there are property surveyors out there doing this. So I think all we can do is say, okay, we will allow this plan to move forward. Do you feel otherwise, Mr. Rob?
No, I agree. I know Mr. Wotus had prepared a legal opinion that was shared with me prior to tonight, and it gets a little deep into like the legal kind of, it's not an issue frankly I had looked into before, but it relates, and I'm sorry if you already covered this, but it relates to when in the description, a deed refers to a water course, and as we all know, when you have an old location of water course over time with, erosion, things like that, it moves. And so there's this legal concept that actually the property boundary moves with the water course. And so this survey team has picked up that component of it because there's been significant erosion and movement in this particular water course that's referenced in the deed. And so this new survey picks up that extra area.
So the creek got bigger and they own the creek a little further.
And it moved, it diverted.
Yeah. I guess if they can't put any more new houses in there, does somebody who loses the property where they get notified or?
Well,
It's just a deed description.
You gotta realize that
It's
the
just
issue
something.
is when somebody loses property, perhaps they didn't have to begin with. So just the fact that there was one plan approved, which never got recorded, by the way. The first phase 2 final plan has never been recorded. So in essence, this will be the first phase 2 plan to be recorded. So I think it might be a little disingenuous to say somebody's losing property. Frankly, we don't know, and I don't know that the township should.
Is
should
it
be
a
the
means
one
and
making
balance
that
thing,
call.
just a property description?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Wotus. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Goldberg, Kamen, and Garvin here on behalf of Traditions of America. So to answer your question, the actual legal description that's provided in there is specifically, it states to the center of Deer Creek, thence along the center line of Deer Creek. So the actual, that's our property line, and that's also the adjacent property owner, has the exact same legal description. So both parties at the time they acquired it actually have a legal description that provides to the center of that creek. As Mr. Rob had stated as well, so the legal concept that does follow this, and there's actually U.S. Supreme Court law on this, Pennsylvania Supreme Court law on it, when that legal description provides for the center of a creek or a natural boundary, and it changes through erosion, that basically the line moves as that creek meanders. I would also note that there was a survey that was done back in 2005 that actually, again, correctly picked up the property line was the center of that creek line. Part of what we're presenting today, though, is actually to correct the prior phase 2 plan that was presented before you that was approved because the surveyor at that time, there was an error. So this actually corrects it to appropriately reflect the legal boundary of the parcel itself.
That has nothing to do with you guys changing from duplexes to.
Nothing at all. No, nothing at all. Yeah, that change from the duplexes to single family was what was before you, I believe, in November for consideration as part of a prior minor modification to the PRD. So not changing that the number count. Again, it's all going to the single family, and again, the total unit count is not being modified as part of that change.
Nothing with this approval is contingent on whether or not you have enough property that you gained or lost.
Correct, we exceed what's required out of your PRD requirements.
Seems like a clerical error.
Correct, the reality is, yes, we're actually correcting an error that was in the prior plan.
It beats 1905 to a point of a rock, right, by a fence.
That's, I like when they had the old oak tree, that's, hasn't been there for 150 years,
So
but.
I try to further it.
If the point, if the property line didn't change, they would almost lose their right to possibly have shoreline to fish or anything of that nature as well.
That's correct, I think historically was part of the rationale behind that.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the TOA Roseburg revision plan per the recommendation by the planning commission?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Holliday, second by Mr. Smolin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your time this evening, appreciate it.
Thank you. Am I missing something? Oh. The board has received quotes for the guide rail project to furnish and install guide rails on Mr. Shupiro.
So, I am in receipt of guide rail quotes, however, I am short one quote for you to consider, so this matter needs to be tabled or deferred. I don't know if it needs to be tabled, but deferred until next month.
Don't have to do anything. Okay. New business for future discussion and action.
Did, Mr. Shoup, I should have asked you this before, but was, the plan for McIntyre Road put in place and okayed?
So, yeah, I did look at the entire road. I looked at it from the perspective all the way from the Richland line down to the, I call it the county bridge, I think it's a county bridge. And looked at some options that were gonna cost varying degrees of dollars. I did, I may have mentioned if I had, some of the funding for the road improvement project this year is coming from, through PennDOT in the form of liquid fuel tax, and it's being used on this project. Because PennDOT has its fingers in on this project, I did ask them, I said, could we do a change order and add a different street? The answer I got was no. And I said, well, we're not using your liquid fuel monies on it, we're using township funds to do it. And the answer was, we are involved in that bid, so the answer is no. So that was taken off the table. So as an alternative, got with Mr. Reiki and discussed the township doing some, rather than just patching, some milling and patching of the worst areas along that stretch of road. And I believe he discussed it with Mr. Mader, and he's authorized to do it as time allows, sometime before snow flies.
So the public works can handle that out of their budget?
Yes.
Announcements, I think the only announcement we have is Community Days coming up August 2nd and 3rd. We'll have the parade, starting at 6, I believe. It's in the newsletter that's coming out. I don't want to go by memory. And then there'll be 4 hours of Community Days on Friday, and from 12 to 10 on Saturday. There will be a live band under the pavilion. There will be fireworks. There will be food truck events and inflatables for the kids. Lots of vendors there. So we hope that everyone can make that and you share that news to your friends and family. The board will hear a comment on non-agenda related items of general township concern at this time. Please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Nicole Zealand, Glasgow Road. I was just wondering if there was an update on the timeline for implementing live streaming?
So it's in our manager's report. It is not at our delay. It's at Horizon.
They were affected by a shutdown across the country. They were down themselves for about 2 weeks. Contacted me this week and said, apologize for the delay, but they said they'll be on this ASAP.
Okay, thanks.
Marcy Bissett, Corbett Lane. It would seem that, like solar farms coming into the future, gas-powered electrical plants and AI data centers are also pressing and will have future questions on land use, especially with the oil gas development in this township. Are we currently covered in our ordinances for gas-powered electrical plants and AI data centers? Rob?
Gavin.
Gavin, sorry.
I would have to look into the ordinance for that, but I would suspect even if there are some regulations that are potentially applicable, that that's something that could and should be beefed up, because you're right. Certainly the most recent nationally recognized conference of high-powered AI and tech titans and everybody else, I think has brought to the front and center that this is going to be an issue, and I agree with you. I think there's going to be a land use and zoning component up that we should get out in front of.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I actually had a question. I think this is for Mr. Shoup, or Shoup, excuse me. Is Middle Road Extension I know it's not a township road, but there was paving, Okay, there was paving work done there just recently, and one thing they didn't address is that at the top of the hill there, and I think Mr. Harrison can attest to this too, there's a huge area that basically floods and remains there for days. And they thought they might put a culvert in under there, but they didn't when they did the paving work. I didn't know if that was something that could be addressed or not.
It's been there forever, Jack.
Yeah, I know it has.
Yeah, it's
just
not from the recent work.
Yeah, I just thought that maybe it's something that could be addressed.
What we do in that situation is because we reach out to the county
Okay.
and make them, alert them that that's going on and press them as much as we can get that time.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be helpful if they could do that. The only other comment I want to make is, I hand out that paper. If anybody has questions on any of those things that we highlighted on that paper, I'm very happy to talk to you about them. I'm not an expert on solar at all. I want to test to be, but I do understand the technology, and I'm very willing to answer questions and provide information if anybody wants to talk to us about it. So thank you.
To his point about the roads, doesn't the state notify us and the county notify us whenever they're gonna be paving in the township?
They used to, they don't do it like they used to, like they used to.
I think, wasn't that American Water? That wasn't the county, it was American Water that was putting in lines. It was not the county that was paving.
And they claimed that they didn't apply.
I'm in reference to Oak Road. They had Oak Road down to one lane for half of the way, which was a huge surprise to us in emergency services.
Chief, you might know the answer to that one, but I can tell you what they used to have, Mr. Wiggin. It was, PennDOT had a dedicated individual that would reach out to every municipality. I got notices of every paving job in District 11 that'll take place. Sometimes you're like, okay, I don't know about like Clarion. But at the same time, it was beneficial because we knew in advance when things were going to happen in Western Township.
Yeah, I know they do the bridges. I think it would just, I don't know who you would talk to if we could get a heads up that, they're them or their contractors coming in to do major repairs.
Yeah, we don't get, I haven't been notified in years.
Right.
I mean, Oak Road was a surprise to the police department as well as, Steve.
Yeah, the person who handled that was left PennDOT, went someplace else, and they never replaced them. That was the issue. So anytime we reached out to our state representative or state senator, that's come up. We're like, well, the communication from PennDOT has to be better than it is. It isn't good.
Yeah, they weren't just fixing potholes. I mean, they had half the road shut down.
We received multiple.
Even with bridges, like the bridges on 910 that were done a couple years ago, they told us originally it was lane closure, and they closed the bridge. And there's times when they tell us the bridge is going to be closed, and we're scrambling with the school district.
Right.
And
No, they just made Mountain View the detour for 910.
There's nothing wrong with Mountain View.
Skull Rolls at Schuster Road, that paving was done on behalf of the gas company, and that's standard operating procedure for them. They expect that. So I would hope that we remember that whenever we get applications, that they're going to use the township roads, that we make that one of the conditions, that they maintain that and keep that well. That's just, they expect that. And if we ask, they'll do that. And once again, our water company got their sinkholes fixed on somebody else's budget.
I have a question, Dan. How are we doing with, I know you reached out to the state for number 2 fire department and the flooding that occurs down there. Have we heard anything?
They were there, but we don't have anything official from them yet. I know that for sure. I reached out to them again because number 2 was flooded, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I bet it was today as well.
It's pretty significant too. Our guys were about to go out there. Mr. Ricky went and looked at it, and he said by the time he got there it was cleared, and the firefighters there said PennDOT came along, and you could actually see PennDOT
catch basins.
Yeah, they cleaned up the catch. But the issue there, it's not just the catch basin that's clogging, it's the fact that those pipes they go in reverse. They go
from 3 to 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates a bottleneck, and we've been telling them for years.
Does it look optimistic at all?
I'm sorry?
Does it look optimistic that they're actually going to help?
I think so, because when it really helped this time that we had the firefighters, the video of how bad it was, the back flooding, the front flooding, and with the fire department. I mean, these are public safety personnel and everything. So if they can't respond, then that's a really bad look for the state. So I think I also included our state officials on that. I reached out to PennDOT. I sent them all the information we had.
What about Jeremy Schaefer?
Yeah, that he's familiar with, and so is Senator Williams. So I'd say it's optimistic, but as I mentioned to the board and to the public in the past, I've been fighting this battle for 10 years at least. I was there. There's a resident who lives on the same side as the fire station, a little bit farther up, Ms. McIntyre, that when that creek floods and it backs up, she has no access to her property whatsoever.
There's probably several homes that have no access. It comes down like a river.
Yeah, not an exaggeration. She'd most likely have to get a canoe to cross it just to get. I'm not exaggerating. It's not a joke. I'm being dead serious.
I don't think a canoe would cross it. It runs pretty fast when it comes down.
You just have to paddle fast.
Yeah.
To Scott's point, I know what he's talking about. When there's a water main break, they come in, they fix the break, and then they hand shovel asphalt into the hole and stomp it. And it doesn't last very long because it's a cold patch basically. In fact, the one on Bareford that they just dug to install the hydrants already coming out. Sometimes they do come back and have an asphalt company patch it, but it seems like the state roads are the worst. Does the state say, yeah, that's fine, or?
I couldn't speak to the state. I know we have on our books, we have ordinances that state that any time any utility company opens up a road when it's newly paved after, within 7 years, right, Mr. Shute, they have to pave 30 feet curb to curb. They can't just do a spot fix unless it's an emergency. But in that situation, the ordinance is also written that they have to contact myself, Mr. Reedy, or Mr. Shoup, and Mr. Shoup or Mr. Reedy or the public works foreman, whoever it may be, has to go inspect it to make sure it's done correctly, that they're not putting dirt and then topping it off with an inch of asphalt. So unfortunately, every time that something like that has come up, they always claim that's an emergency.
One more thing. Victoria Austin, Hemlock Street. I have 2 quick questions. Is there any update on the dog shelter?
We're waiting for the school district to have their vote, which won't take place until August.
Okay. And the other question I have, I subscribe to the DEPE updates, and I got a notice that there's a 10,000-pound explosive magazine located near the Beagle Club area, near the Cara Brandon area, and that's going to be used for a month for some kind of subterranean depth charge testing. Is there any notice to people who live in that area that that's going to be taking place, or that there is a high storage of explosives near their homes?
No, I mean, that's not something that we regulate by the township, so you have to reach out to DEP for that information. Sorry.
Did they get a permit for that?
Blasting's not covered by the township, that's a DEP matter.
But
We went through the same thing with the Ridgewood Heights development. They had to do some blasting for there, and they basically just told us they were doing it, and that was it. So they have to get all their permits through DEP.
Yeah, I know something about that, if you read some comment. They're, like I say, it's just they don't need a permit to bring in that magazine. It would have to have security measures that are required by the state, which it has to be monitored or fenced with concertina wire, whatever, it has to be protected. But they try to be discreet about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
One time we used to require big signs that explosives, and it just sort of attracted
Right.
more.
Now, is that something that residents will feel when these explosives, these charges are set
Yeah,
off?
If they're doing the geophysical, that's usually just like a little 1 pound charge. It's about 20 feet in the ground. And they do that when they're out in the rural areas. If they're on the road, they use a Vibra-sized truck, which is thumper trucks.
Uh-huh.
They've done it on a few places around here.
Okay, it just seemed like 10,000 pounds is a lot of explosives,
And
and
that's
I,
usually just up to. They may not need 10,000 pounds.
Okay.
It just, that's what it would be rated for.
thanks, I appreciate that.
Do we know that it's for the gas well?
It's not
Or
town.
is it the gas company that's doing that?
It's not something we regulate, so
It would be DEP out of Greensburg for here.
So we have an executive session, we've been here since about 5:15, so we're going to, do I have a motion to adjourn at 8:08 and then move on to our executive
Make
session.
a motion.
Second.
I'm sorry? That was personal matter. Motion by Mr. Wiggins, second by Mr. Hall, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all for coming.